I'll hand over to Mr. Stephen McCullah, who is joining us from Apollo FinTech. And the presentation will be mass adoption of digital payments, the CBDC, and the Bankwise system. Stephen is coming from Apollo FinTech. He's been in the industry for quite a bit of time, and Apollo FinTech itself is focusing on innovative government and commercial products. So as part of that work, it has included designing one of the first CBDC systems, as well as going all the way into creating products that have been designed and manufactured for use by, amongst others, the US military. So very interesting to see how all of that knowledge and background is put into the presentation of the CBDC and the Bankwise system. So Stephen, over to you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the introduction and Finovex as a whole for having me. Hello everyone, my name is Stephen McCullah. I'm the CEO at Apollo FinTech. I'm here today at Apollo HQ to not only talk about our vision as a company, but the top two products developed to make that vision a reality. Those two products are our central bank digital currency system, the NOX National Payment Platform, essentially our solution to power and legitimize the nation's economy, and NOX Wire, our solution to give financial institutions and central banks the ability to send same-day wire transfers to 20,000 banks and institutions, or more importantly, to give them the ability to offer that service to their clients. Our goal throughout the 5 years that we've been working on the development of financial products has always been the mass adoption of digital payments and finding solutions that can fix the industry's biggest flaws. Working in Africa for many years and taking in feedback from nearly a dozen central banks, as well as dozens of African commercial banks, we believe we were able to locate many of the fundamental problems of the current financial system. And since then, we have put nearly 30 man-years of development into developing solutions to overcome those exact issues. What I noticed early on is that there are a lot of fintech companies that use the catchphrase, banking the unbanked. But the truth is that most of these companies have not done anything that has not already been done. They've simply done what everyone else has already done. They launched an app, they opened up a place online to deposit, but it hasn't worked because it hasn't addressed the fundamental barriers of mass adoption. And we started out with the goal of opening up the financial system. We saw two main barriers to consumer mass adoption of digital payments in Africa. Number one was accessibility. We saw that in most African countries, there were millions in rural areas that did not have adequate access to create an account, and certainly not to deposit or manage funds regularly. For this reason, we created our central bank digital currency system for government and our white label payment system for commercial banks, with not only an agent network platform to take deposits locally, but a scratch-off voucher system, which we have called Cash Card. By utilizing innovative ways for people to not only onboard onto a digital system, but maintain their account, you open up digital finance to the masses. So governments can legitimize the illegitimate cash markets by allowing those on the ground, true and consistent accessibility options, even in the most remote areas of the world. The second major barrier to a cashless society and the mass adoption of digital payments in Africa is usability. We saw usability as one of the biggest barriers because even if a nation wanted to move into a cashless economy to legitimize much of its illegitimate trade, many would not be able to utilize it without a laptop or a smart device, and certainly not without consistent cellular data. We found that in many nations in Africa, this would immediately disenfranchise a large percentage of the population. It is for exactly this reason that we developed the ability to send payments with SMS, even without cellular data. So that anyone, even if they have a $3 smartphone or a $3 phone, can not only create an account, but also use it and maintain it. We believe we are one of the only options that could work in a situation where a nation is wanting to move away from paper money altogether and toward a completely cashless economy. So we've talked about our central bank digital currency system. Moving on to NoxWire, which is one of the products I'm personally most passionate about. I'm passionate about NoxWire because I have personally sat in front of nearly a dozen central banks and a great deal of commercial banks, mostly between Africa and the Middle East, to listen to the biggest issues that they deal with consistently. One core fundamental request from the vast majority of institutions that we talked to was for a system that allowed quick, inexpensive cross-border payments. And it's for this reason that we had dedicated the last 3 years to developing NoxWire, which we recently launched with NoxWire.com. NoxWire is our answer to most of the issues of major systems like SWIFT. In the same way that we worked to make digital payments simple and easy to use for the unbanked, we wanted to do the same thing with cross-border transactions for governments and financial institutions. We saw the current system as clunky and quite inadequate in today's financial situation. A situation where currencies move percentage points in a day as inflation rises and the cost of living goes up faster than people can adjust. Taking 5 days to settle a cross-border transaction, and in some cases as many as 14, is a major barrier to a nation's growth. To tackle these issues, we developed NoxWire with a bi-directional financial messaging system and a global payment network built on distributed ledger technology. We designed NoxWire to lower the time it takes to send international payments from days down to seconds. Even sending an off-network transaction to the majority of the world's financial institutions can be done in the same business day. We found that 9 out of 10 consumers that send international payments will even go so far as to change banks if the other bank gives them the ability to send wires the same day rather than potentially a week. What NoxWire does is not only opening up economies to fast, reliable remittances, but it sets a completely new standard for international payments altogether. One that banks will either need to adopt or face the potential of being left behind. So in summary, our Nox central bank digital currency system and NoxWire both serve different purposes, but they are both designed around a need to adopt and grow to make digital payments fast, reliable, and accessible. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully I was able to shed some light on not only our vision, but how we have made that vision a reality.